One of the things I wanted to start with, just because I've wondered myself, I know you're billed from Lafayette.
hmm
What are your Indiana ties? What's your history with Indiana?
So I was born and raised in South Bend. Um, Grew up there most of my life, but I found a wrestling school called the School of Rock in the early stages of my career. I started training in a backyard, but needed some fundamental foundations of professional wrestling and needed a proper school. And the closest one, and the one that was highly recommended, was the School of Rock out of Lafayette, Indiana. And I spent 10 months in a storage unit with no heat or air conditioning that was just big enough to fit a professional wrestling ring, with Billy Rock, who is my trainer and someone I owe legitimately, everything to. If it wasn't for Billy Rock, there would be no Ruby Soho. So I bill myself from Lafayette, Indiana, one, because I spent quite a bit of time there, but two, because that's where my roots came from, and also to pay homage to him for, basically starting my journey that is professional wrestling.
How did you what drew you towards wrestling?
Well, I had a childhood best friend who her whole family was very, very into it. I wasn't as excited about it. I was super drawn to the characters and to, the entrances and things like that, but didn't completely understand, the appeal to the wrestling portion until I actually was in the ring myself. We used to go to random independent shows around like Elkhart, Indiana, and watch her older brother wrestle independently. But it wasn't until the summer of my, I think, sophomore year of college, when I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, that I went to another show and was like, I'd like to give this a try. I think this would be something that would be fun to do. And then from the moment I entered the wrestling ring in that backyard, the possibilities just kind of opened up for me to be anybody that I wanted to be. And at that time, that's what I was searching for. I wasn't searching for somebody to tell me this is what I needed to do, or to tell me this is who I needed to be. And wrestling kind of opened that door for me, and to be what I wanted, to represent what I wanted. And I fell in love the moment I stepped foot into the ring. So from then on, it just seemed like I just followed the one thing that made me happy, and that was wrestling.
That kind of leads into, I was going to ask about, I have a 9-year-old daughter we're hopefully adopting very soon.
Oh,
And I think,
congratulations.
thank you so much. But from a role model standpoint, I feel like you're somebody who can tell not just young girls, but anybody out there, you don't have to kind of fit into anybody's box. You can be you. Is that important to you?
Oh, that means everything to me. If I'm able to send that message to just a few young girls that were in my position, and currently are, or even, young people in general, not just girls, like anybody who finds themselves in a situation where they feel like they're pressured by outside influences, society, their parents, family, friends, to be a certain way and represent themselves in a certain way. Um, if I can show that I am a prime example of somebody who has found what I feel like is success in being the most authentic version of myself without apologies. And I really have found my most sincere happiness in that sense. Like, that's where I found the most peace. Even in wrestling, it was kind of a journey of self-discovery over the last 11 years. So it was a lot of, trial and error. But in this current moment, especially with AEW being so appreciative and so freeing for me to just be me without being told these are the things that sell, these are the things that matter. I can just go out there and be me. The one thing that I've been told since I came to AEW is the fans and my friends and family can see the happiness that is on my face every time I come out. It is true and it is real, because I'm genuinely feeling like I'm being appreciated for myself. and only myself. And that feels really good. And so if I could encourage young people or people, anybody, to do that and to just be themselves, that's the message that I'd love to send. And that's, to me, a fulfilling career.
Oh, absolutely. You can definitely see that excitement on your face. Going back to Chicago and your debut at All Out, I mean, arguably the biggest pay-per-view of all time right now. People are still talking about it.
100%, historic.
And so you're backstage. I mean, we saw your emotion when you came on stage. You hadn't been announced, not officially. There were rumors. People had an idea, but no one had said you were going to be there. What's going through your mind as you're waiting to come out and you hear the crowd chanting Ruby, Ruby, Ruby before your entrance?
I love this question just because I get to relive that. I get to relive that moment, and I get to see it in my head, and I can hear them again. Especially considering I had not gone by Ruby Soho at that moment in time. And to hear them chant a name that I hadn't even been called yet, almost saying like, we're welcoming this version of you already before we even see you, was magical to me. And as soon as I heard it, I turned to some of my friends that were standing outside of the stairwell with me, and I just put my hands up, and like tears welled up in my eyes. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this is home. Like these are my people already. I haven't even been out there yet. I knew I had to suck it up because I had to go wrestle, but like it was an amazing moment for me, honestly. And I am so grateful. And then to top it all off, Tony Khan jumping up from behind the screen going, let's go, is like probably one of my favorite moments, because he was there like rooting for me. And I just got there. This is my new boss that is just as excited about this as I am. So for that, like infectious excitement was, like I said, truly magical to me, because it's something that I will legitimately never forget for the rest of my life. It was the pinnacle of my career.
That's awesome. It was awesome to watch. I'm glad to hear it was as awesome backstage. Is it true that that's the first time you met Tony in person that night?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that night was the first time that I had met Tony, and honestly, he is the best boss a girl could ask for. And this is a universal thing around the entire company. His excitement and his passion about professional wrestling, about his product, is infectious. Like from the moment you talk to him, and you, even if you're like, I'm kind of feeling a little sluggish today, the moment you talk to Tony, you are so excited about wrestling. You're like, yes, let's go, let's do it. And it's amazing to me to see somebody who is so passionate about this and who genuinely cares about all of his talent. So he is definitely just hands down the best boss that I've ever had. And it's really an honor to be able to work with him and to be heard by him. Like, he listens to his talent, and he tries to, to work with us so that we can all create this product that we're all very proud of.
It shows. There's no doubt about it. It shows every week out there. Looking forward a little bit to Indianapolis on Wednesday night. Coming back to your home state.
Yeah.
Backstage in Chicago again, or are there going to be some butterflies before you come out there?
Oh yeah, for sure. This is my fellow Hoosiers. Regardless, I spent quite a bit of time in Indianapolis. During my wrestling career, I wrestled there a few times, and it's going to be, like I said, just right down the road from where I trained and where my professional wrestling career began. So it's definitely going to be an amazing thing to be able to bring AEW to Indiana, to my home, and with all my fellow Hoosiers. I'm very excited to see, and I know that they're great wrestling fans, so I'm excited to see their reaction to everything. I'm excited to hopefully be a part of the show. Even if I'm not, I'll be able to be very happy to be watching and seeing good wrestling being brought to my beloved home state.
Bear with me on this one. It might take a little bit to get to the point, but I promise I have one.
I'm waiting for it.
The last time I saw you wrestle in Indianapolis was actually in Lawrence. It was a little rec
Okay.
center. You were with Shakara at the time. I think you had the Young Lions
Okay.
Cup. You were still
Okay.
Heidi Lovelace, I think, at that point.
I
Uh,
think I know where you're talking about, actually, which is rare for me in
yeah.
my current state of mind of remembering where I was on the Independence. But yes, I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Eddie Kingston was on that card as well that night. He was
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yep.
But like there were literally before the show, there were people, it was a rec center. There were people coming through, going to the pool on the other side of the gym. Like it was that, but there's an energy in that kind of arena. There might be 200 people, 250. There's,
Mm-hmm.
between the performers and the fans. I don't know because I'm just looking at it from a fan standpoint, but it feels like to me, somehow AEW has that same energy for 20,000 fans in New York City. I wasn't there, but I was at the United Center
Mm-hmm.
with 17,000 or so. Do you feel that as a performer in the ring? Is that something I'm just making up?
You are not making that up. 100%. Those independent shows were some of my favorites because I felt such an intimate connection with the fans because they're right there. They're very close. And granted, while we don't have that same thing where we're super close, I feel like we do our very best to include the audience in all of what we do. Like they are just as much a part of the show as we are. And whether it be their reactions, whether it be, making eye contact with them, whether it be like them getting behind us to give us that, that extra fire that we need, they are just as much a part of this as we are. And I think that's the difference maker there with that, because, when I come down from my incredible entrance music, I feel like I'm at a concert. Like I feel like I'm air guitaring with 20,000, 17,000 people, and we're all there together, and it's a different energy. And I think also like we're so spoiled. Our fans are so amazing because I think they see the most authentic version of each and one of ourselves. We're all the most authentic version of ourselves. So I think they connect to that. They connect to us as performers so much easier because they see these authentic people that are not necessarily characters. These are just who these people are. And I think that they relate to that. And that's what I think that makes them even more excited about the things that we're doing, because from city to city, they have never disappointed. And I am so grateful for those fans. I was waiting for after All Out, like, oh, okay, they're not like this all the time, but they genuinely are. So yeah, so we're very, very lucky and fortunate. It definitely has like a small bingo hall energy with a large arena environment, and it's really, really awesome to see.
Along those same lines, if I'm a fan at home and I've only watched AEW on Wednesday nights, Dynamite at 8 p.m. on TNT, or I've only watched Friday, at 10 p.m. for Rampage, maybe I've been adventurous enough to check out Dark or Dark Elevation on Monday and Tuesday on YouTube. Is that fan missing something if they haven't come, something essential if they haven't been there in person?
I think so. I think it's an experience that I would wish for every fan to see if they can, because the energy is so infectious and the energy is so intense. Like I have gone up in the stands to watch certain matches before just to feel the crowd energy. And like I said, it's just like being at a concert. It's just this energy that just pulsates through the arena, and it goes from start to finish, from the first match to the last match. It's that same pulsating, intense excitement from start to finish. And I think that's something that I would highly recommend if we are anywhere near your state to please get to an AEW show, because it is so important to at least experience that once in your lifetime.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I've been to a lot of shows, and I think I've been to 2 AEW shows so far, and they've been two of the best shows I've been to. You kind of mentioned, you touched on this just a little bit earlier with your theme song. It was interesting. You were on a podcast. I've seen the clip. I think a lot of people have seen the clip. Lars Fredrickson basically says, hey, I can make a phone call. You've got this right now. How unique is that situation?
It is a once in a lifetime situation. Like, honestly, with everything, with AEW, with Lars, becoming kind of a friend of mine, with, with everything, it is like everything fell into place so perfectly. And I wasn't going to do any interviews after I'd been released. Like, I wasn't going to do a whole lot of, like, I was going to kind of go social media silent for a little while. But when Lars Fredrickson asked you to do a podcast, you do a podcast, and he did. And we had kind of started to discuss what I would be called going forward. And I told him that Ruby was, inspired by the song Ruby Soho. And when he said, why don't you just use that? I was like, I didn't know that was an option. And then he was like, yeah, I can get on the phone and maybe we can look into getting you the rights to the song. And I just melted in my chair. I'm on camera, so I'm trying not to like embarrass myself, but I probably definitely did. But it's just like, this is a girl's dream. This is a punk rock kid from Indiana's dream. Like, not only do I get to wrestle for the most incredible wrestling company in the world, I get to come out to a song that I have loved for years, backed by a band that has inspired me more than they could possibly know. And to also be able to call a hero of mine, Lars Fredrickson, a friend now, is mind-blowing to me. Like, I feel like I need to be pinched, because I don't know how I got lucky enough to how all of these things like were placed in the perfect time, but man, am I a lucky girl.
I can speak for a lot of fans and say you've definitely earned that. You deserve it.
Oh, thank you.
As looking at AEW right now in particular, the TBS title tournament, you're a big part of this, obviously, into the second round. What does that tournament mean? It seems like another really unique thing to have a second title for women in a major company. I don't know if I've seen that before.
Oh, 100%. It's groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking. And I think it's an amazing thing that they're doing, because this is a prestigious title. You know what I mean? Like, this is the TBS title. Like, this is very, very important. And this could have been placed anywhere in the men's division. But they brought it to us because they knew we would also bring a sense of importance to us. They knew that it would also elevate not just our division, but women's wrestling as a whole. And I think that they have, made that apparent with the importance that has been placed on the tournament. Like, if you take a look at those tournament brackets, that's some talent right there. Like, they are some of the most incredible women I have ever seen. And it's also bringing up like a next level version of every single one of those women, because we have so much at stake. So I think it's a really beautiful thing that we're doing. And I think that I am very honored to be able to be a part of it. Like, I've only been here a few months, and there's been so many milestones. There's been so many things that I feel like are a part of this amazing company's like exponential growth, that I am so excited to see what's next. I'm so excited to try and make my way to become the first ever TBS Women's Champion. But I am just so happy to be here and to see these strides that we're not only making for our own company, but for wrestling as a whole, to make things different and exciting, and to take steps, especially in women's wrestling, forward into making sure we are taken seriously as a division.
You mentioned all the major events. I mean, September was crazy with all the arrivals. You were a big part of that. What is it like to be in AEW at this particular moment when the things are just seem to be catching fire?
I feel spoiled, honestly. Like, I feel spoiled. I am so grateful to the men and women who built this place prior to myself and Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole and CM Punk. We all came here, but the only reason that we were able to come here is because the men and women who were here before us built this place from the ground up. And so I feel genuinely spoiled to be able to share in this time where the company is, on a complete like uprise. We are making moves, breaking grounds, left and right, with every Dynamite, every Rampage that we do, everything is important. So that's one of the things that you can't ever miss an episode. You can't ever miss a pay-per-view, because a lot of things happen in this time. And it's so amazing to see as a fan of professional wrestling. It's so amazing to see as somebody who gets to be a part of this team. And I'm so grateful to be able to share in this growth while we're here, and to be able to, you know, I'm able to be grateful for the people who built it to give us a platform to come to.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's hard to remember this is only a 2-year-old company. They've done so many things. Is it unique to be here too? And in an extent, it feels like there's an opportunity here that might not be in a company that's been around longer to kind of define some styles, define what the AEW women's division is, for example.
I think it's super important too, like I said, with it, you know, being so new, and having done so much in such a short period of time. I think that just shows how special this place is. And I think it also shows how different this place is. That's the one thing that I have noticed, that I get a different feel, not only on stage, but off stage. I get a different feel of the energy backstage, where we all just want to put together the best product going forward together. And I think that is incredibly crucial to the growth of this company, because, you know, we can't all do it ourselves. We can only do it, you know, with the people that we share that ring with, that also put together the sets, and that put together the shows, help write the shows, the producers that help with the matches and everything. We are one big family. We are one big team. And I think that that's what shows in our growth is it's not just one person building one company up. It is entire team putting together something that we are proud of, something that's different, something that hasn't been seen before. There's all kinds of different wrestling out there. And you know what? That's what's amazing about it, is that there's different things across all platforms. But I think we are definitely one that is catching attention, and I think it's for good reason.
You mentioned earlier too, every show is important. You know, you can't miss anything. I think one of the things that's been unique about this company, in my eyes, the go home shows for the pay-per-view, which will be in Indianapolis on Wednesday, because the pay-per-view is on Saturday, in Minneapolis. They're different. They handle them different. It doesn't feel like filler. There are matches on these cards that would be pay-per-view matches elsewhere. Is it exciting to be a part of that?
Oh, it's amazing. And that's the thing. Even Indianapolis 100% has matches that, like you said, like are pay-per-view quality matches. But I feel like that happens a lot in AEW. And every time I'm like, we're going to run out of pay-per-view matches. Another matchup happens. I'm like, this is a match I didn't realize I've always wanted to see. You know what I mean? We have so many high caliber athletes that are all so different. We're all so different. And it's going to be different matches that you see when faced with a different opponent. Like, it's just going to be a different story, a different hurdle. And I think that's what's so important, is like, we put on, not on just on our pay-per-views. We don't put on pay-per-view quality matches just on our pay-per-views. We put on pay-per-view quality matches on Dynamite. We put pay-per-view quality matches on Rampage. We put matches that people have been dreaming that one day they would see, and now they're seeing them. Like Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson had an incredible match, a match that was years and years in the making. And there was so much history there, and the match was amazing. And even our fans rising up behind them, it's still, right now, it gives me chills. And that was just one match on Rampage, one match. And like, we have matches that, you know, could be considered match of the year. Like, and those are just on a Monday or on a Wednesday or on a Friday. Like, it's amazing to me that I feel like every single one of those is special. Every single one of those is special. So I think it's pretty awesome. And even the days where I don't get to wrestle, I'm so ecstatic to watch the show, because as a fan, I'm excited to see these matches.